If you were trying to go no contact with your ex and you want him, you miss him, you can't stop thinking about him even more, this episode is going to explain why no contact might be failing you in the way that you are doing it now and actually making that trauma bond stronger and what you need in order for it to be successful. So you've gone no contact with your ex, likely because you hit some sort of rock bottom. Maybe you've had your fuck this shift, as I've mentioned in other episodes, where you are finally at that place where you're like, fuck this. I cannot do this with this person anymore. I cannot focus on this person anymore. So you go no contact. You block them so you don't have to see their name. You don't have to see those notifications pop up. And you think that in blocking them, that you're going to be able to stop thinking about them. A lot of women go no contact and then are really surprised after a few days that they find themselves really preoccupied with the person, really missing them, really longing for them, really wanting that person to understand, like to have that one last conversation. They really want that closure. It's feeling like these urges starting to pop up and they're confused, rightfully so. So if you're in that boat, this episode is going to help you understand what's happening. Because when you go no contact without the right support system in place, it can throw your nervous system into a panic and overdrive. In this episode, I really want you to take away an understanding of why no contact can feel like literal withdrawal in your body. I want you to learn how to calm those emotional swings without having to reach back out to him. And I want you to build that internal safety and that self-trust that's needed to really go no contact and break the cycle, because I know that you're at that point where you really want to stop going back. So this episode is going to help you do all of those things. And be sure to stick around to the very end, because I always pull an oracle card. This offers you a message that you can try on and see how it resonates for you. Noodle on it, think about it, see what it sparks for you in your healing this week. Okay, let's take a deep breath and begin. This episode is not anti-no contact. I am such a huge proponent for no contact. And I think in a lot of situations, in most situations when you're dealing with a narcissistic person, that is a really, really healthy thing to do. But I want you to understand what's happening in your brain and body when you try to detach that way without the right support, because if you don't have the right support, that's what's going to keep you in this failure feeling mode where you're reaching out to the person and restarting the cycle. So you need the right nervous system support so that no contact can be effective. So let's talk about this narcissistic cycle that you've been in, this pattern that your nervous system has become accustomed to with this person. In very broad, very simple terms, a trauma bond is created over repeated cycling through pain and relief, pain and relief, pain and relief with the same person. The same person that's causing the intense pain is also coming back to give you that sweet, sweet relief when there's reconnection. The relief comes in a pattern of intermittent reinforcement, which means it's unpredictable and we seek it. And then when it comes, it feels even better because we never know when it's actually coming. I want you to think back to your relationship with this person. Likely it started with a lot of love bombing, right? A lot of reinforcement, a lot of dopamine happening. This person is perfect. He sees me. He understands me. He likes all the same things. He's flooding me with this attention and this desire. It feels really good, right? You feel very, very, very connected to that person. And that is by design. That intense, quick connection is designed to create a really strong bond. So once you have created that strong bond, then we get into the first level of pain that starts to happen, where there's some discarding. There is some dismissing. He's making snide comments about your friends or your outfits or what you're choosing to do for your you time, or maybe that you're taking too much you time. Maybe he starts saying these little things that make you start to question if you really are taking too much for yourself. And you can start to feel this confusion. This is the first part where confusion starts to enter the relationship. And you start to question if everything that's sort of feeling off in the relationship is your fault. There's a lot of self-editing that starts to happen, a lot of pushing away our needs or starting to walk on those eggshells because we don't want to have the conversation. We're starting to live in anxiety and in trepidation and hypervigilance with the person that we're with. And then we move into the next level of pain with the person, which is the discard. So after you've sort of been chipped away enough in the dismissal phase, it comes into the discard. And this is where you have like those big blowout fights. He calls you a psychopath. He tells you that you're the narcissist. He says that, go ahead and leave me, but nobody's going to love you the way that I love you. You're lucky to be with somebody like me. This is where silent treatments can happen. Maybe he starts going out several nights at a time and not communicating and coming back late. And then the next morning, when you try to ask him what happened, he's like, you're worried too much. You're always causing problems. Maybe he's actively cheating on you and you find out about that later. So the discard phase is really an energy of like, I'm done with you. That's what you feel from that person. And I use terms a lot when I'm speaking on this podcast in terms of the narcissistic person being a man and the recipient of that behavior being a female, but this can totally be reversed. So that feels important to name. My audience is generally women, which is why I tend to speak about it in those terms, but women can absolutely be the narcissistic person here. Okay, so we're in the pain, right? You've been through a period of dismissal, a period of discard, and then there's a separation. There's a emotional separation, there's a physical separation where maybe you're moving out, he's moving out, you're taking a break, something happens. And then after a period of time of being separated, it feels really uncomfortable to not be with this person. And so maybe he reaches out because he knows that the door is still open, or you reach out because your discomfort is just getting way too big and you're like, maybe I was just being dramatic. Maybe we can make this work. You come back together. There's a reconnection. There's another moment of the love bombing phase, and then you get right back into the cycle of the pain, the separation, and then coming back together for the relief. The important part here is that when you physically separate, you're feeling emotional pain that actually registers in your brain as intense as physical pain, which is why it literally hurts to be without this person, even though you know in your brain that they're maybe not good for you, or that you don't want to be with them, or that this is how it's been for the last 5 years. You cannot help that feeling of like distress. It is intolerable. It feels like you're going through withdrawal. If you've ever been in withdrawal from drugs and alcohol, or anything that you're trying to quit, it feels very physically uncomfortable. You don't know what to do with your body. You feel like you're crawling out of your skin. So you know that when you come back together, there's going to be that relief. It's going to take away all that shit that you're feeling in the withdrawal phase, right? When you get your thing back, it's like, oh, okay, I have it. We have this euphoria moment in the love bombing phase that starts again, and I'm okay. I can exhale. I'm okay. So when you go no contact, what you're doing is you are removing the source of relief. And I know this is really pucked up and confusing, but he is the source of relief and the source of pain. So yes, you're going no contact to remove the pain. That's totally, yes, A+ to that. But what's happening to your body is like, he's the source of relief. Like, you're leaving us alone without the relief. And that's where the panic starts to come. That's why your thoughts start to go back to the person. It's like your nervous system is so dysregulated and uncomfortable, it only knows how to seek him for that relief. And this isn't your fault. This is literally what happens by design of the trauma bond, by design of the narcissistic cycle. You have just become so hyper-focused on one person bringing the relief. So when you go no contact, you're leaving yourself kind of alone, stewing in this withdrawal with no relief in sight. That drug is not coming back to take away this pain, and you are stuck there, and you know it. So many women at that point when they're like, this hurts, I got to do it, right? You have that moment of, I have to. And so you start to white knuckle. You start to hold on tighter. You start to just trying to force yourself to stop thinking about him. Maybe you're distracting yourself, trying to just stay busy with friends or stay like numb out with Netflix or whatever you're doing, just trying to make it another minute of the day. And what inevitably happens is that pain gets too big, it starts to swallow you up, and you don't have any way to bring your head above water again. So of course, you are going to give in. If we're using the analogy of addiction, you're going to relapse, you're going to reach out to him, you're going to start looking at his social media and then reach out to him, right? You're going to find a way to bring that water down so that you can breathe again. When you break no contact over and over again, you are actually reinforcing a trauma bond. So you are going back, you're putting your body back into that cycle of familiarity. Even though that cycle is painful, it's like, I understand this. I know relief is coming intermittently. This feels better than trying to be without him fully. I know for me, it felt like I was more addicted. Like every time I chose him again, chose to unblock, chose to do whatever, I was just getting myself deeper into that addiction hole with him, in that trauma bond cycle with him. And that made me feel like shit. That made me feel out of control. That made my self-judgment really, really, really loud, especially in those moments when I hit that separation point again, when the promises had never come true, he never actually changed, the relationship never actually changed. It was like, okay, Bre, how many times do we got to do this dance? I know that you as a person likely are very self-sufficient. You're likely a person who takes care of things. You're kind of the one who does it all, who maintains the friendships, who does everything in the house. You tend to take on more than maybe you want to, but you know you're capable. So there's part of your brain that's like, I can do this by myself. This is easy. If I block him, seeing his name, seeing the reminders of him is what's the problem. So I'll block him and I'll be fine. I can do this by myself. Other women do it all the time. Likely you are having some form of those thoughts in your brain. But what I want you to know is the women who are successful with no contact, who maintain that for weeks and months and years, are women who have found another way to regulate their nervous system, have found a way to regulate their system while they're feeling those intense waves of discomfort and sadness and anger and longing and all these conflicting emotions. So this is not a willpower problem. You want it. I know you want it. This is a withdrawal that's actually a body-based situation that you need to incorporate body-based tools to give you the right support in order for that no contact to be effective. And it's helpful here to give you an example of what nervous system regulation can look like, because you might have heard this term before, but you're like, I don't understand what that means. So let me give you an example of what this could look like if you're using nervous system regulation or not using nervous system regulation. Let's say that you wake up and it's 6 a.m., your alarm goes off, and immediately you are like, I'm going to have a good day. I'm going no contact. I'm going to stay no contact. I'm already 14 days in. I have to do this. And yet your mind starts doing what your mind does and wandering into all of these places that start causing you anxiety. You think about him. You think about if he's moved on. You think about if he's finally changed, if he's finally this person that you worked so hard for him to become. You wonder if he lost his job or he got a new job. You wonder back to that last fight that you guys had. And now you're thinking about all of these brilliant things that you should have said during that fight. You're like, maybe I should reach out to him and just tell him these things. Like, maybe I should write him a letter. Maybe I should send him a letter. Maybe if he understands, then we can have some reconciliation and things can work out. Or maybe at very bare minimum, he understands and then he apologizes, right? Your brain is just going a million miles an hour. You're feeling really uncomfortable. Maybe you have a lump in your throat. Maybe your chest is really tight. Maybe you are like recognizing that you have your shoulders up to your ears and you're like clenching your fists. And this is all subconscious, right? But when you start to pay attention to it, you're like, oh, I'm feeling this in my body. So the first option when you don't have a nervous system regulation technique is you are going to unblock him, at least on social media, to start looking through his social media, which is going to lead to reaching out to him in some capacity. But maybe you actually unblock him and say, hey, I've been thinking about things. Can we have a conversation? Or you text him 17 paragraphs worth of ahas that you're having about that last fight. That leads to engagement, some sort of conversation, some sort of reconnection that's going to happen with him, which puts you back in the cycle. The second option is to insert a nervous system regulation technique. The technique that I use with my clients, like by far, hands down the most, is called EFT tapping. And this is where you are lightly tapping with your fingertips on different acupressure points on your face and your torso while you are naming what's happening. So they would identify, oh God, I'm feeling a lot of anxiety. My brain's in 17,000 places. I need to do some tapping. So they would do some tapping. They would say out loud, I'm feeling anxious. I'm feeling like I want to reach out to him. I know that I want to stay no contact, but I'm feeling so uncomfortable in my body. They're moving through these points as they're tapping on these acupressure points. And they're doing this several times so that they can regulate their system. Tapping these points in sequence helps to send that signal from your body to your brain. We are safe. We are safe. We can regulate through this. We're feeling a big thing, but we are regulating while we're feeling the thing. So it gives you a thing to do that's not reaching out to him. And the thing to do is actually helping to calm your body so that you can be with those feelings that feels manageable. So you feel in control of those feelings. That is the interrupter. That is the way that you stop reacting in the ways that you have always reacted and getting that relief from the person. When you start to incorporate nervous system regulation techniques like EFT tapping, you can stop feeling that overwhelming urge. It's like somebody else takes control of your body and like reaches out to him before you really know what's happening. You can stop that urge, right? With stopping the reactivity that you're feeling in your body. You will feel confident in knowing how to feel big feelings as they arise. There's this sense of, okay, here's a wave of anxiety. Here's a wave of sadness. I know how to do this. I know if I give myself some time to be with this feeling in a safe and regulated way, that I'm actually going to move through the feeling instead of getting pummeled by it. I like to use the metaphor of a wave, and maybe you've heard this before, where if you think of your emotion as a wave, waves keep coming. They don't stop. Sometimes they're rolling waves, but sometimes they're big, like hurricane waves, and you can't outrun a wave. So if you learn to ride the wave, then you have a more in-controlled way to move with the wave to the shore. That's what nervous system regulation techniques helps you do. They help you ride the wave of what you're feeling. When you can do those things, when you cannot feel the urge and you can ride the waves of your feelings, then you don't need him. You don't need him to make you feel okay anymore. And that allows you to finally detach for good. So I want you to be successful with your no contact. I know you want it. I know you're at that point when you're like, I'm ready. I gotta detach. I gotta start doing the work around this trauma bond. I gotta start healing. I have to let him go. And I want you to feel in control of your choices. So I put together a guide. This guide is called the Trauma Bond Breaker. And this guide is going to help you with 7 micro shifts that's going to help your nervous system. It's going to help you anchor to your decision to leave, and it's going to help you reconnect to yourself. So I know we've been talking just about the nervous system, but those other pieces are really, really vital for actually moving through a trauma bond and not going back. That guide is in the show notes. It's free. Please go and download that guide. It's going to help you on so many levels. Trauma bonds are really complex, and this is going to be a super, super good start for you to be able to, again, do that nervous system regulation, stay no contact, and start to incorporate these other pieces in that are going to help you move towards breaking that bond. So that guide is free, called the Trauma Bond Breaker. It's in the show notes. When you opt in for that, I send it to you personally. So I love, love, love to get to know the people who are feeling like my resource is valuable to them. I will likely ask a question to engage and get to know you. Again, I cannot stress it enough that I want you to be successful with what you are trying to do. So here is a tool for you. And to the end of these episodes, let's pull the Oracle card and see what what is the message that wants to come through for today? Sharking. It's a picture of two sharks moving around in a circle, which seems pretty fitting for this. Okay, let me find it in the book and I'll read it to you what it says. One of the most ancient and revered creatures is sending you a message to move. Sharking says keep gliding in and around relationships or conflict. This is not avoiding, but simply a way of moving into and out of experience. It's not the time to be stagnant. Stillness is not your friend right now. You need to move softly around the situation. Check it out from all angles. With a slow and measured movement, you will outlast the discomfort, drama, or conflict that surrounds you. No big motions are required now. An easy and continuous pace is best suited for you. Movement in the subtle body is helpful to find your rhythm. Don't get pinned down by one person or expectation. Swim, slide, glide effortlessly, and you will find what you need. That might be actually one of the biggest perks or our is that the right word? Like things that you'll receive by starting to do nervous system regulation work is slowing down. Slowing down with your reaction, slowing down with your emotions. There's not this like sped up, hypervigilant, gotta rush, gotta do, gotta. It's okay, I'm safe to actually be with this. And that involves slowing down. So, very, very pertinent message. As always, until I see you in the next episode, please, please, please remember that you are not alone.